Chance, goal, brilliant. Just fantastic by Nicola Barella. And he does it! And Italy are champions of Europe. Forza Italia.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie, Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast where you get your culture to go. I'm Frank Crivello. He's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing on this Sunday evening? Back in the time slot here.
Back in the normal time slot, back at it. Yep, no family weekend responsibilities, no kids trick-or-treating or any of these other things. Could actually get down to brass tacks and be back in the normal time. So. Yep. There should be no excuse from everybody in the chat. We should see people turning out and packing. Our good friend Anthony LaFleur always in there. Good to see you. I'm sure we're going to have more people chiming in as well. We have a big day, a big weekend of Serie to unpack. A couple of major rivalry matches over match day 12 that we'll talk about. Prior to that, I do want to send a shout out to my alma mater, Marquette University High School. Another state soccer championship yesterday. It never gets old. So back to back, and I'm losing count how many state championships Marquette High School has won. So I want to give a shout out to them. They won 1-0. A very, very determined Hudson team that gave them some trouble in the second half, but held off and held on. So well done to Steve and the boys once again.
It would appear that you are the Juventus of high school football.
High school calcio, high school. Yeah, and I don't know about the Juventus.
You never relegated? No?
Careful now.
Yeah, too soon.
Well, that's just it. Never been relegated, so. Just a proud alum wanted to talk about that for a minute. Good. So we had a big weekend as we met the Derby Della Madonnina. We have Juve Fiorentina. We'll talk about that. The rest of match week 12. Referee decisions clouding Champions League, clouding Serie A. We'll unpack all of that. We will get into the latest installment of the Azzurri as they prepare for a key game on Friday at home against Switzerland in World Cup qualifying. And we will finish up, as always, with Who Won Calcio Twitter. But first, Derby Della Madonnina, Richard.
You don't want to start Empoli-Genoa? All right, well, we'll hold off for that a little bit later. Derby della Madonnina, obviously one of the biggest games in Italy, one of the biggest games in Europe. And this is a game that meant a lot to both teams battling, trying to get into the first place. A lot on the line in this one. The Tifosi was amazing before the game for both sets of fans, Curva Nord, Curva Sud. Curva Nord had a Campione d'Italia, Champions of Italy, with a nice banner they had there. And then AC Milan had the tifo of thanking the workers, saying we'll never forget, and it was a nice dedication to all the frontline workers there. So well done to the Curva Sud and Curva Nord there, and it was nice to have the fans back in a derby like this again, right? And it felt so good with the crowd. The stadium just packed. Lots of storylines in this one, but let's get into the lineup so we can get to some of these storylines here. First, for the home team, which would be Milan, in goal, Ciprian Tatarasanu went with a back four of Calabria, Chiar, Tamori, and Balotore. Midfield of Tonali, Kessie as double pivots with Diaz, Krunic, and Leao up top, all led by Zlatan Ibrahimovic. Big news in this one. Obviously, Balotore is going to start over Theo Hernandez, combining Theo Hernandez and Leao there. Hernandez got in the red card in the last game, so he has to miss this one. And obviously, Salamaker's not starting in this one, and actually, Brahim Diaz starting on the right wing. Thoughts on Milan's starting lineup in this one?
Strange. But I understand why he's doing it. I mean, it's overthinking. I know Lisi was asking the question on Twitter, and I get it. And I think that there was some frustration among much of Milan Twitter with this lineup selection. My only theory here is that okay, you can play Diaz in front of Calabria and let him play higher. Calabria can do the dirty work, can do the defending, and do the work on Perisic, which I thought for the most part Calabria did a really nice job. You give Diaz some freedom, and you give him a chance to run at Bastoni, and where he's going to probably have a little bit more space. Playing him in the middle, he could get eaten up by Brozovic, and the spaces might not be there for him. So this might have been one of those where Pioli anticipated Inter getting into a shape where they would not give Diaz any room. And it's like, okay, where can I find some space for this kid to be able to do what he needs to do? So he went for that, went for Krunic, who, in the middle, who could probably be a little bit more industrious, can absorb tackling in the middle and things like that. That's the only thing that I could reasonably believe why Pioli went this direction and thought, okay, I'll bring Salamakers on in the second half, and and we'll have a go with him, and we'll move some things around and see what happens. And the other thing is I think that it's, the other comment that I made is you got to remember that Brahim Diaz came back from COVID. How fit is he? All right, he went about 70 minutes against Porto at midweek.
Yep.
And how much are you going to really get out of him? And it's just like, Pioli probably said, okay, put in a shift here on the flank. At some point, I'm going to bring on Salamakers for you. It was apparently he thought it was a good idea. So much of Milan Twitter weren't particularly happy about it. I'm lukewarm about it. I kind of understand why he went and did it, and I think on a different day it might have worked. It wasn't particularly successful though.
Yeah, it certainly was an interesting lineup. I also wasn't sure. I mean, you never want to question the manager and his decision. He obviously makes choices for a reason. He sees things that we don't see on a day-to-day basis. Talali. I'm messing up all the names tonight. Tonali.
You're gonna get to Tolulu. You can do that. You can. Let's just combine all the names. You can get a job with entertainment channel, and
I thought you were gonna say CBS.
You can combine. You can combine the couple's names. Okay,
yeah.
And which was just a stupid nuisance. They still do that, don't they? I don't read that crap.
They do, yeah. They do.
Geez.
But back to my point before I mess up the names. Tonali and Kessie. Tonali starting this one wasn't a surprise to me, but I thought maybe we'd see Tonali and Benacer start together. Not that they ever play together often, but I thought both of those are two players who are more in form as opposed to Kessie, who's been his form has been suspect lately. But I understand why Kessie's in there. He is a bulldog and pushes people around. So I can get that. And also, the comments that you made about Diaz and over Salamakers, maybe Krunic is, obviously worrisome to me, but that is Pioli's boys. So, I mean, you can't do anything about it. It is what it is, right? So,
yeah.
It wasn't too bad of a lineup myself. And then looking at Inter, the road team, Handanovic in goal, the famous back three of Skriniar, De Vrij, and Bastoni. Oh, by the way, all this Interisti and really Azzurri fans who kept saying, when I kept saying Bastoni is a good defender, like he isn't even starting his own team. I mean, he was arguably the man of the match in this game, but we'll get to that. Those three in the back, they go with Darmian, Barella, Brozovic, Çalhanoğlu, and Ivan Perisic. And then up top, you had Dzeko and Arturo Martinez. Thoughts on this lineup? Obviously, Hakan getting the start is going to get all the attention there, coming back against his former team. How he would do. My fear was always that he was going to score in this one. It was just fate that he would. But the rest of the lineup, pretty straight up. I mean, Darmian may be the one raising an eyebrow, but he's been playing well for them lately. What are your thoughts on the lineup?
The wise and all-knowing sage that is Nima Tavali on our preview said Hakan Çalhanoğlu is going to score against Milan in the derby. So we will get to that.
Yeah.
Nothing surprising me about this lineup. It's been tried and trusted. If you knew Hakan was going to start, Inzaghi could have really pulled one on everybody if he wanted to really compact things and play Vidal from the start, which would have maybe given Perisic a little bit more freedom as an example. But then, I think that he felt like he had to have some little bit of creativity, in between the midfield and in the forwards, where Çalhanoğlu kind of found his place a little bit. It's standard. It came down to whether or not Inzaghi was going to go with Çalhanoğlu, or if maybe he was going to go with Vidal and go with a more industrious type midfield. but this is where he landed, and no issues with it whatsoever.
What we weren't sure what kind of derby we were going to get, right? It's either going to be a high-flying one or one that's a little bit dull, right? We've seen a lot of the dull ones, especially under Gattuso's reign. So we were really sure, especially with Inzaghi's first, fury into this derby himself. He's had plenty of derbies himself in the Roma Derby della Capitale, so he's had experience in the big games. But he's never been in this derby, so I was curious to see how he would come out in this game. The game started out flying from the beginning. Went back and forth. Really, it was really an entertaining game. This is really fun derby. No matter what what the results or who you were, the neutral. It was a fun game to watch. The fireworks really started in the 10th minute. Kessie inexplicably goes backwards with the ball. Somehow wants to shade off two players who are on him. He gets fouled, in my opinion, by Çalhanoğlu. He then in turn takes him out. Their legs collide. They fall out. Penalty is called against Kessie. Big debates about which way it is. Yet penalty for me. Was it a penalty for Milan? Was it a penalty against Inter? What was the real thing? My opinion, Frank. I'm curious what your thoughts are. I thought it was should have been a no call because I thought Kessie was fouled first, and then he did foul, but it was stupid no matter what Kessie did. No matter how you look at it, it's a stupid play by Kessie. But I don't think it was a penalty as clear cut as everyone thinks it is. What are your thoughts on that play?
I'm with you. I think you let it go. I mean, but this is people could be saying I'm making a Milan homer call too. So hard for me to sit here and say that it's not a penalty, but it's also, it's what the referee called. I thought it was a bad call. I thought it was just a coming together by two players, and there was really no foul from one or the other. But it's what it is. It's the call that was made. It's another decision. Referees are getting in the spotlight here in games for the wrong reasons.
Correct.
And it was a bad decision, but nonetheless, it was a decision that they made, and they stuck with it.
Yeah. You mentioned before as the show began that Nima predicted Hakan was going to score all week. I'm going on different shows, and people are asking me, and I'm like, Hakan's going to score in this game. It's written in the stars, right? We were on the Couch of Connection, or I was on the Couch of Connection on Tuesday, or a couple days ago, and I was like, I have a strong feeling Hakan's going to score. I thought Zlatan probably would score too, but we'll get to that. But Hakan would be the one to steps up. He gets up, scores, gets ready to celebrate. Dzeko pushes him down before he celebrates really, but then he taunts the crowd. I love seeing that. As much as I hate Hakan, I love seeing that he was egging on the crowd. He's still Satan in my book, but of course, great. Of course, as Hakan is going to start the scoring in this one, and not surprised that he stepped up to take that.
No, not surprised at all. And he took it well. Puts Inter in front. And again, Milan. Probably hard done by a referee's decision or no decision that puts them behind. We saw it happen Wednesday against Porto. I'll say this. I think the reaction from them this time around was much, much better. The team that played Porto was kind of almost played shell-shocked and virtually got played off the park, and were lucky to get out of there only 1-0 down at halftime here. These guys reacted a lot. The reaction was a lot better. The reaction is what you want to look for. They picked it up and played.
Yeah, I thought Inter had the better of the play in the first opening minutes, but once that goal happened, it seemed like they woke up Milan. Milan almost responded immediately. It wasn't quite immediately. It was like 5-6 minutes later, off a corner kick. We all initially thought Tomori scored the goal the way he was celebrating. Upon further review, it was De Vrij with the own goal, but a goal nonetheless. 1-1, Derby's on. And full tilt. It was a fantastic match, going back and forth really. But it's great to see that the two goals happened so quickly. You knew the derby was going to get full hot and heavy. And if it wasn't already at a high level, it would get even higher just 10 minutes later. A foul in the box, and a penalty is awarded to Inter once again. This time, lovely play over the top, and I forget who made the beautiful pass over the top. Ballo-Touré completely confused, didn't know where the ball is. Darmian puts him behind him. My opinion, again, and you call it a homer call if you want, Ballo-Touré got all ball first and then knocked the guy down. I thought it would have been a good clean play. Maybe 10 years ago it would have. Penalties called against Darmian, or for Darmian. Thoughts on the penalty before we get to the penalty kicker?
Ballo-Touré got the ball. And I'll point out, and I have precedent. from a game just a few hours before this. I took the time to watch the Everton-Tottenham game this morning, so I was kind of curious to see what Tottenham would look like under Antonio Conte. And there was an incident in the second half, relatively similar. The ball's coming into the penalty area, but instead of a defender, it's Lloris coming out for it. Richarlison's running onto it, and Lloris clearly gets his glove to the ball and pushes it away. In the process, he does go through Richarlison. Referee initially awards a penalty, but then VAR has a look at it and says, no, that's not a penalty. He got the ball first, gets the ball first. After that, there's no, and it was a good decision. So relatively similar here. Torre gets the ball first. Okay. In the process of getting the ball, after process, let's say, he goes through Darmian. Okay, in a very similar fashion. But you have to look at, was the ball won? And did he establish an unfair advantage to win the ball? No, he did not. Okay, he won the ball, and then the optics of an unfair advantage was generated because of the contact after winning the ball. Very much similar to the Everton-Tottenham game today, where Lloris got his glove to the ball and then went through Richarlison. He's making the same effort for the ball as the attacking player is. And for me, in my opinion, Lisi, chime in, because I know that he agreed with me that he saw Ballatore get the ball, our resident referee. Lisi, if you're listening, just shoot us a tweet. Your thoughts to give your thoughts on the incident. If you win the ball and then go through someone after that, I don't think a penalty should be called. I don't think a foul should be called there, unless you do something like the follow through has your studs exposed and you go right into the side of the guy's knee. That might be different. That's conduct that's a little bit more violent. But in the case of Ballatore, I'm getting long-winded here. In the case of Ballatore and in the case of Lloris in the Premier League game, there's no violent conduct there. There's ball winning. Okay. And there's playing like men. And it was a bad call.
Yeah, and the one thing we've seen in Serie A this season, which is unfortunate, is that the refereeing has been horrible all season long for every team, going both ways. This game was poor for both teams as well. There was calls that they missed for Inter and they missed for Milan as well. So penalty steps up. You imagine Hakan's going to step up and take this one again. But no, this time it's Martinez steps up. And when I saw him step up, I'm like, okay, this is going to be a goal. But no, Ciprian Tatarasanu, one of the plays of the week, and nominees save on the penalty somehow on Martinez, keeps it at 1-1. An unreal play by Tatarasanu, and I'm never going to say anything bad against him again, because that was a huge save in a big game that could have easily made it 2-1. And really, Inter had some opportunities to make it 2, even 3-1 in this first half. Huge save by Tatarasanu on that, completely unexpected. I don't think anybody expected that play, Frank.
Ball don't lie.
Yeah, well, there you go. There you go.
Ball don't lie.
Yeah. No, so great save by Tatarasanu. But again, the first half, continue the first half. I thought Inter really started dictating play, had some opportunities, had a chance to make it go 3-1. I don't know, Barella had a great opportunity in this one. I don't know how he misses that, his goal opportunity. But nonetheless,
saved off the line. That was the one that was saved off the line.
Yeah, from Ballatore,
okay.
Of all people. Ballatore makes up kind of for his error earlier, saves the ball off the line. Wonderful there just before halftime. And we would go into halftime by the score of 1-1. An interesting first half, Frank. I thought Inter, as I mentioned, had the better of the play in the first half. But Milan, had a huge lifeline with that save by Tatarasanu. The goal line save by Ballatore. Really, those two plays kept Milan in this, because it could have been a blowout in the first half. Thoughts on the first half by you?
I'll agree to what you're saying about Inter having the better of the play in part. They had the more dangerous chances. I mean, obviously the penalties.
Yes. Yeah. I don't mean they dominated. I think they had the most dangerous plays.
They had the better chances. The ball cleared off the line, and then Martinez had a very easy chance just before halftime as well that he normally scores that he missed. Milan, I think, moved the ball well on Inter through the first 2/3 of the field. Where they had their issues was finding the final pass. This was not a good game for Ibrahimovic.
Back three did their job.
Yeah, there wasn't. I mean, they crowded him, and you could see some frustration that he was looking for ball. Somebody would play a long ball, put it on Ibra's head with his back to goal, and he's trying to lay balls off with his head to guys in hopes that they're running forward, and they're not, and it all turned into lost possessions. So that there wasn't connection there between Ibrahimovic in spots, with the midfielders. You had Leao, I thought, doing more than he should in moments. Even Bonetti made the comment that that's the aggravation that Milan fans have with Leao, is that he'll tend to take one too many touches, where he can work the combination plays to get around defenders, especially with his pace. If he made more of a habit of that, he'd be even more dynamic. And I'll say this, I think Rafael Leao is one of the most improved players of the season in this league. But I think that it was a struggle for him today. Brahim Diaz, it didn't work. I thought Sandro Tonali was really good. I thought that he did his role.
Yep.
Moving the ball through the thirds of the field, finding some passes. He didn't hit anything dangerous or deadly, except for the own goal. That was his cross on a dead ball. But in terms of what you want that midfielder to do in that setup, he did it to a T. Aside from the penalty issue on getting casual with the ball, I thought Kessie was all right too. I thought the double pivot was fine. For Inter, Milan Skriniar was outstanding. Yeah. And had a big hand in keeping Ibrahimovic quiet, which we were talking about. I thought that Brozovic was very good too. In terms of his role, Krunic couldn't do anything. And you had those two kind of in the same spaces altogether, and it felt like Brozovic stood out far more than I didn't even know Krunic was on the pitch. Unless I look at a lineup sheet. That's how poor I thought he was, and that's how good I thought that, and that's a lot, and that has a lot to do. That's a product of how well Brozovic played.
Yeah, so and arguably Brozovic helped the back three a lot as well, because he was very physical with his Zlatan Ibrahimovic. In fact, the whole back three were very physical on Ibra, and I think that played a part in him not being able to do anything because he had no space really. Full credit to Skriniar, De Vrij, and Bastoni really shutting him down, shutting down any kind of play. We said Diaz had a bad game and Krunic as well. But you part of it has to go. The credit has to go to the back three plus Brozovic and even Barella. Backtracked a lot and did very well. Did all the dirty work. So Inter defensively did a really great job. Really keep making it difficult for Milan. You mentioned the first 2/3 of the pitch they were fine, and then final third they couldn't seem to get anything. And also Ballatore is not really doing much on the left hand side. Calabria is getting a pin back by Ivan Perisic, who had a decent game as well. Good first half by Inter, I thought. You had a comment?
That dynamism of Teo going forward was desperately missed in this game. And I think that if Teo plays, there isn't all this attention on Ibrahimovic. And I think that you stand a chance to stretch that back three a little bit. But that wasn't there. Ballatore doesn't scare you the way Teo Hernandez scares you when you see him coming forward. Sure. So, and Calabria wasn't going to venture forward a lot either. Because you don't want to concede those spaces, whether it's Perisic or whether it's a diagonal run from a Lautaro or a Dzeko. So you didn't see Calabria going forward a lot either in this game. So you did not have fullback play going forward, which contributed to Milan looking a little bit more predictable and being a little bit easier to defend. It basically made the back three's job easy for Inter. It's like, all right, we can all be around Ibra. We're not going to get stretched here. And that's where the difficulties lied in Milan's ability to play in the final third. They didn't build up the numbers that you normally see them do, in the possession game that they play under Pioli.
And on the flip side, you saw Darmian and Ivan Perisic both pushing up a lot, especially Darmian against Ballatore. But Ivan Perisic kept trying against Calabria, and when it got to the final third, Calabria shut him down, but at least he was still present in that role. So, Inter's players were doing a little bit more than the Milan players were in that first half. Substitution had Ballatore did get a yellow in that first half, obviously for that penalty that he committed. So he went off. Kalulu came on. I thought it was an improvement when he came on. But second half pretty much started like this first half ended. I thought Inter still had better to play, and as the half was going on, I thought Inter was really starting to play the game in their style. They kept mentioning how the game was very chaotic, and I thought that suited Inter perfectly because Milan likes to be a little more controlled, where they can do what they want, be more free flowing, and they couldn't do that because it was so chaotic, and it was feeding perfectly into what Inter wanted to do. Results aside, I thought Inzaghi got the better POL in this one, not only for the head scratching and starting lineup, but some of the substitutions that he made in this game, kind of going more defensive at some points instead of going for the win when you should in a game that's this close and you're playing comfortably defensively. They were going more defensive, bringing in Bakayoko and stuff like that. So Inter were getting stronger and stronger, had opportunities to score. I know Vidal came on and he nearly scored late in this one, but then really the last 10, 15 minutes, Milan started creating more opportunities. Salamakers came in and kind of helped with this, but last 10, 15 minutes, Milan really started growing stronger at the end of the game and putting lots of pressure on Inter. And I kept thinking a goal was coming in this when you had some more and more opportunities by Milan. They really started getting a lot of shots on. You were wondering where this was all game long, but all for naught. The game would end 1-1. It was a fun derby. No way to put about this. It was a really fun, entertaining game. Both sides, I think, are going to be happy with the result. Would they want to win? Yes. But a draw doesn't hurt either team, and it's a fair result, I think, ultimately. In my opinion, I think Inter were slightly the better team, but Milan came on strong at the end, and they fought very gallantly. So fair result, ultimately. Thoughts? What are your thoughts on the 1-1 draw?
I think, as a Milan fan, you get nervous with how many corners were being given up. When you consider the players that they can bring forward on corners. That was an issue that it felt like Milan weren't getting out of their own way. I think Milan are probably fortunate to get out of this with a draw, even with how they played in the last 15 minutes, because they looked to be the team that was going for the win.
Corners 8-4 in advantage of Inter. I mean, that's a lot of corners in this game,
and 7 of them were in the second half. Barella getting hurt was a huge help. That changed things. I mean, they brought on Vidal, and Vidal was excellent. He had that key tackle on Rebic. And then Dzeko getting hurt. Although Dzeko was probably average today. I thought that Tomori and Kjaer did a nice job on him.
Yeah, his work rate was really good, but what he created was not much there. Yeah,
there was a lot of work rate. There wasn't a lot of end product, to that work rate from Dzeko today. And I think if Darmian got hurt, I think he did. Which you bring on Dumfries, who can give you a ton going forward, but can be a liability defensively. And I think that Milan did a nice job of exposing that. They had Rebic getting there, and Rebic was very active when he was in. And they looked like they were trying to combine around Dumfries on multiple occasions to try to generate that cross. VJ makes a comment about Pioli saying that they needed to get the ball into Ibra more and a bit quicker when he was free. He was hardly free. There was like I said, the fullbacks didn't scare Inter, so Inter could just say, all right, we're going to crowd Ibra, and we're going to crowd him out of this, and we're going to make it hard for Milan to get balls into him and get service into him. And you got to get some width to try to pull these guys apart. You started seeing it when Rebic came into the game. All right. And I also thought Benacer was a good substitution. I thought he came on and played well. So you got to get that. You got to do something to try to pull them, because everything for Inter stayed compact and were able to just largely keep everything in front of them. I mean, and I don't think Handanovic wasn't troubled. We had the incident in the end there where Salamakers, we thought, scored.
Hit the post. Handanovic didn't even move. And then Kessie could have made up for his mistake from the beginning of the game and missed it just wide. That was the best opportunity of the game, honestly.
Anthony thinks that Kessie had time to touch it before. I don't agree. I think that there was enough players in the penalty area that if he took a touch, the shot would have been gone. I think he had to try to bag that first time. Plus, the other thing is that in that instance of one-time shot, you've got the goalkeeper still trying to reestablish position. You take an extra touch, that's just enough time for a goalkeeper to set himself and be able to read a shot. and make a save.
Yeah.
I don't have a problem with Kessie's decision to just try to go for it right away. He missed. It happens.
It happens.
But I'm with you. I think the draw was fair. I think that Milan might just be a tad lucky to have gotten out of there with the point.
Yeah,
I think that some of the injuries with Inter changed the course for Inter in a fashion that they probably weren't comfortable with. He went for Correa and Sanchez as his forwards. There isn't the reference point, as Bonetti likes to refer to, with a striker. But there's two guys that I think Inzaghi just tried to go for pulling Kjaer and Tomori apart.
Yeah.
And
Correa has been a notorious Milan killer too, so
Yeah.
I can see why he came on.
And it's an incomplete grade on that effort because they never really got a counterattacking opportunity to do that. Milan kept Inter under pretty much for the rest of the game. They just didn't get anything of quality aside from the Salamakers chance, toward the end of the game. There might have been one other chance in there that's escaping me, but yeah, I would say that fair result with Milan just being ever so slightly lucky to get out of there with a point.
Yeah, and people want to focus in on the refereeing, which was atrocious, but I think what you should focus in on is that I think Inzaghi managed this game a little bit better than Pioli did, and with the way the game was unfolding. And I think the back three plus, Brozovic and even, Barella and maybe some of the wing backs, they did such a great job shutting down Milan in the final third, and they really should get credit for that. Ibra was held pretty much non-existent, had a great opportunity late in the game, missed it just wide. But I mean, other than that, he was really quiet all game long, and Diaz couldn't do anything, Salamakers couldn't do anything. Rebic tried at the end of the game, and he was probably the most successful, but it was Inter shutting him down, and Brozovic, who usually comes up big in these games, did again in this one, and he's got to be mentioned in a man of the match performance. Tatarasano obviously with a big save. He's come up big for Milan. For me, it's Bastoni, but you could really pick anyone in the back three, or even Brozovic for man of the match, because I thought they were just all stellar, and like you said, Inter probably should have walked away with a win. Milan missed their chances. Inter missed their chances, a lot of their chances. So 1-1 fair result, and I think both teams are happy that they're going away and really not losing track on the top or the bottom. They're pretty much everyone in the top four drew themselves, so it worked out, I think.
Yeah. I'll go for a men of the match. I mean, if you're looking at the Inter side, you're probably looking at Brozovic and you're probably looking at Skriniar. Would probably be the two guys that I look at. For Milan, I like Tomori's performance.
Yeah, Tomori and Tonali too.
And I would go with Tonali as well. I would say that those would be the guys you're probably talking about. And I think a shout to Tatarasanu for the penalty save too, which in the end preserved the point for Milan. So
yeah, absolutely. So
I thought maybe if we want to talk about maybe those five were probably the best performing players in the match.
I agree.
Relative to the roles that they had. So, missed opportunity for Milan. A win would have put them top. Would have put them 10 points clear of Inter, which probably would have been important at this point in the season. But, Inter gives themselves a chance. They get the point. Milan are still joint top with Napoli, which we'll talk about them shortly. But yeah, it's a well-played game and a fair result. So
agreed.
We had another rivalry match this weekend. Juventus and Fiorentina, Richard, at the J. Lining up for Juventus. Perin gets the shout in goal. They go with Danilo, Rugani, De Ligt, and Alexandro. A four-man midfield with Federico Chiesa on the right, Weston McKennie and Locatelli in the middle, and one of Adam Digby's favorite decisions, if you follow him on Twitter, Adrian Rabiot playing on the left, with Paulo Dybala and Alvaro Morata up front. Your thoughts on the selection for Allegri?
Honestly, the only head scratcher for me, sorry, Adam, but Rabiot getting the start in this one. He had some good plays in this game, but yeah, I probably, if I had a starting 11 for Juventus, I probably wouldn't pick him in my starting 11. But Allegri, he's done enough in his career where you really shouldn't question him. He has reasons for everything, whether it's a short rest because for the European game or what. Rabiot gets the start. So yeah, it was a decent lineup for them.
Yep. Again, personnel wise, I like it. Shape, well, I don't know if Rugani. I think they're trying to give Bonucci a rest, and Chiellini to an extent. I think they're trying to give those guys a rest because they're logging a lot of games. Or was there a suspension with one of them? Let me do that before well, DeShilio was out and Kane was dealt. No, they weren't suspended. And apparently, Bonucci was available on the substitute. Both of them were available on the substitute bench. So there you go. They decided to just go with something different. Yeah. Personnel, this is fine. But again, I don't like Chiesa on the right with Dybala in front of him. I don't like the duplication. We talked about this last time. I think that they can be far more interesting if you space those two guys out. But and needless to say, that's what it is. The first half had no goals, but Fiorentina had a chance that forced Patton into a save. And the only other thing we probably want to talk about the first half, the incident that was not given a penalty for Fiorentina. The ball came into the area. I'm trying to remember whose hand it struck from Juventus. Do you remember the play? Do you remember the player?
Is it Danilo?
It might have been Danilo. Yeah. I'm conflicted. I'm conflicted on whether or not that's a penalty. Personally, I get the shout for it. And I know that this was just before halftime, and they took a look at it, but they chose not to follow through and award a penalty for Fiorentina before halftime. You okay with that?
Yeah, that was such a tough play, and it's sometimes some of the times on these calls I have a good read on what's going on. Other times I don't, and this is one of the situations where it's hard for me to read it. You look at the replay. The more time you watch the replay, the more confused I am, and I ultimately I guess I got to go with the referee on this one, and whatever. Sometimes if it's inconclusive, the referee's going to go with what his first decision is in VAR, and so I'm ultimately okay with it. Not being called, but I'm sure Fiorentina fans are pissed off that it wasn't called for them, that they couldn't get a chance to score a goal there. But it's tight. Whenever these games, typically in these games, you want to let the play go. It doesn't always happen. Sometimes referee calls everything. Sometimes they call nothing. In this case, they didn't call it. So rough for Fiorentina, but it's certainly a 50-50 call, and I'm curious what others think about this.
Yeah, I don't think you give it as much as we like to talk about conspiracy theories and some of this other stuff and have our fun with it. I think in this case, I'm willing to be okay with just saying, this isn't a penalty. I wouldn't give it and move on. And Anthony's making a great point. Yeah, Fiorentina, you could argue, was the better team in this game up until and deserved to get something out of it. But in the 73rd minute, Juve start to get on the break, and Milankovic commits a foul. Already being booked in the 66th minute, commits what we would call a professional foul, rush of blood to the head. One of those things, young, great defender, but also a young player that all of a sudden forgets that he's on a booking, commits the foul, gets sent off. I've got no problem with that. It stopped it was a clear professional foul to stop an attack going the other way. And a second booking, and he's off. I can't argue with the referee's decision here.
Yeah, and there's really a 5 to 10 minute span where this all happened, right? Because in the 65th or so, Milankovic got his first yellow, and I think Vincenzo Italiano got a red card for mouthing off the referee. For a similar play, it was a foul, and then Milankovic, being a stupid idiot, commits another play. Like I said, rush of blood to the head, youngster, committing a foul. Probably, looking at hindsight, probably didn't want to do that, and
sure.
2 reds within a space of minutes. I joked that this game is being regular, but it was a foul. It was a foul by Milankovic. And so, he's out, puts his team in a hurting, really. And the reason Bonaventura came out earlier because he was already on a yellow and he looked like he was going to get a red. But they didn't take out Milankovic, and maybe they don't have, the options in defense, and he ends up getting a red, and it hurts the team. And a team that was playing so well had the opportunity to go up. I mean, Saponara had a great opportunity in the first half. Now they're really in a hurt, and more than likely, when you play an Allegri team being down a man, you're gonna pay for it.
Yep. It was not smart. And it opened the door for Juventus to take over the match. They were generating chance after chance. Chiesa hits the crossbar, among others. But it would be a finish by Juan Cuadrado in the 91st minute that I would prefer to criticize Terracciano for allowing to get beaten and on that angle at his near post by Cuadrado's finish. I mean, it was savvy of Cuadrado to see that was there and slot it there, but as a goalkeeper, that's not a goal you want to concede, especially with everybody working to try to preserve the point. And especially when you're not the first choice goalkeeper, and if you're trying to make an impression on this team, it's the game ends. Yeah, Dragowski didn't play. It was Terracciano.
Yeah.
Great chance for him to make an impression and preserve a clean sheet for Fiorentina down to 10 men, but makes a very, very critical error of goalkeeping, and Cuadrado takes good advantage of it. Juventus scoring in the 91st minute and getting a 1-0 victory. Thoughts on this match and the impact for both teams?
Yeah, well, Terracciano was played so well in this game. You feel for him because he could have stole man of the match had they had a draw.
Sure,
but it wasn't for naught, and the goal he gave up was a pretty bad one, short side. You never want to be beat short side in the way he was. Cuadrado had no business scoring that goal, and he did. So kudos to him for putting the shot on target and getting the goal against his former team. But ultimately that is a punch in the gut for not only Terracciano but also for Fiorentina. I thought they played fairly well. They could have moved up into just outside of the Champions League spots, which would have been fantastic for them considering where they've been the last 5 years or so, or even more. So I mean, I guess currently they're tied with Juventus now. Juventus just tied them with that win. I don't think they're too alarmed about the position they are on the table because they're still in the top 10, and they're still, if they continue to play well the rest of the season, they're in a European spot, right? Just keep playing. Who knows where the ceiling is for them? But I don't think they're angry, but they're not too upset that they lost. I think that there's still a long season to go, and they can certainly nick a lot of teams going down the stretch. But you never want to lose to a rival like Juventus, and especially the way you going down a man, it hurts. They're going to look at missed chances, and next time hopefully they're going to try to be a little bit more clinical on these opportunities. Vlahovic had some opportunities, but he was too quiet for me, I think. And full credit goes to the Juventus defense for shutting him down. Allegri really set up his team to minimize his impact in the game. Fiorentina started strong, but as the game went on, Juventus slowly started taking over, and especially when that went up a man, Juventus really started trying to get that goal, and they finally got it.
Fiorentina have played 6 of the 7 sisters in their first 12 games, and have only come away with 3 points. A win over Atalanta.
Yeah.
So,
which tells me though, they're so up high on the table. That means they're taking care of business for everywhere else, which is good.
Yep.
Because that was always a big problem with them in the past, where they couldn't even beat the teams below them. Now they're at least beating them. They're almost like a Lazio or Roma have been in the past years, where they beat everybody except for the 7 sisters. So it's not terrible, but they could improve in that respect for sure.
They get Milan after the break at home. If they can get something out of that, and it's not out of the question. I mean, I think that Milan are going to win that game, but then the next 5 games after that, they put themselves in a position where they can get themselves in somewhere in the 30 to 31 point range after the first half of the season. Then that's pretty serious stuff, and they've got the quality to do that. So we'll have to see what happens, for their sake. But I think that that's an important, if they can, they need to beat Milan and get out of if they can beat Milan, it really sets the tone for them. And can help get them into a pretty good position, working their way up the table with the remaining 5 games. Let's look at their, or actually remaining 6 games, I should say, before they have to play Roma again. So after they are at Fiorentina, then they're hosting Milan, at Empoli, hosting Sampdoria, at Bologna, hosting Salernitana, hosting Sassuolo, a good Verona team. And then hosting Udinese, who's been tough, and then at Torino. And then, so there is some winnable games here for them. We'll just have to see how it goes. There's some very winnable games for them, and if they, like to your point, they got to keep winning those kinds of games to try to scratch out a European place, which I still think they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
So
yeah.
For Juventus, they are 8th or 7th if you want to look at it that way, since they beat Fiorentina. But it has been this run of inconsistency, 7 points from their last 5 games. This win snaps. Does it snap? I never remember what direction this thing goes in. It snaps a two-game losing streak. They had lost to Sassuolo. They had lost to Verona. So then they regroup and beat Fiorentina. Thoughts on Juve? Is this one of those where they benefit from the red card and, the good teams take advantage of this and find a way to get the 3 points, and you're still concerned long-term, or in their play and in the selections of Allegri, are you starting to see some signs that they're kind of getting out of this early season funk?
No, I mean, I don't think it's the selections. I just think the team isn't playing well. Long term, I'm still worried about this. You still had the flashes of the glimpse where you had, I think Quadrado crossed it in and Morata scored a goal in the game, but it was taken off because of offsides. That was a great play, but you don't see enough of that in the game. They're too inconsistent. They can't find the set right pieces. They really need to build around Paulo Dybala, who can take him to that next level. It's just way too inconsistent at the moment. They had a little bit of a reprieve winning in Europe 4-2 or something like that. But this game still, if this is old Juve, if this is Allegri 1.0, a 1-0 lead, the goal would have been scored early and it would have a shut-up shot for the whole game. This is not what happened. They had to fight and claw their way trying to get that one goal. Full credit to Fiorentina. It's a fantastic team. Vincenzo Italiano is doing a magnificent job over there, but this team just looks very disjointed at the moment. And so I think Inter still have a lot of work to do to get really into a stronghold into the European spot, which at this moment doesn't look like it's likely because of all the consistencies. They really need to get really hot here. Maybe they can use this 2-week break, the international break, to kind of regroup, go back into Retiro, even though they just came from there. Maybe they're still in there. I don't know. But they need to still figure things out. They're not quite there yet. At least defensively, they're not giving up as many goals anymore, at least the last couple of weeks. A long way to go before I think they're okay, or even Juventini, especially. They're the hard critics there. A long way before they're going to be happy with them. So a lot to do.
Sure. All right. So that's our take on the Juve Fiorentina game. A bit unlucky for Fiorentina. Obviously, the red card changed the game. Juventus winning and getting the key 3 points. Now on to the first half of the rest, and everything started on Friday, Richard, with Empoli and Genoa. This finished 2-2. A handball to start, but you know what? Empoli were shocking in the first half. Surprisingly so. I thought this was a game that they could take advantage of. Domenico Crescito with the penalty in the 13th minute that would give Genoa the 1-0 lead. In the 62nd minute, Federico Di Francesco scoring to level the match, and then Empoli would pull ahead through a goal of the week candidate Simon Zurkowski, assisted by Fabiano Parisi. So it was substitutes linking up for the goal that would put Empoli ahead. Andrea Azzurri is a genius, isn't he? Anybody's a genius when you get 5 Anybody can look like a genius when you're given 5 substitutions. That has to stop now. Let's get back to 3 and make these guys think.
Yeah.
But it was all for naught in the 89th minute. Flavio Bianchi from Felipe Caicedo. Caicedo was terrific in this game. 2-2 draw. But it would not be a happy ending for Davide Balladini. He is out. Andrei Shevchenko is back in our lives as manager of Genoa. I'm so happy for him. I'm so happy to have Shevchenko back in Serie A.
Yeah.
A great place. Hey, Milan plucks their people from Genoa. And if it doesn't work out with Pioli, right?
Yeah.
So,
at least he's starting with Genoa and not with a big club, right? Because that could ruin managers. So
yeah. The bar's low for him. I mean, he has to figure out how to transform this side into an attacking side, into the mold with how he, had the Ukraine play. And does he have the personnel to do it? I kind of think that he does, but don't turn into this team and then all of a sudden get really, really weak defensively and concede a lot of goals. And I think that this is a Genoa team that I think as Shevchenko massages his concepts into things, I think that they go that direction. And I think you're going to see a lot of 3-1 defeats, some 2-2 draws, some games like that. I think you're going to see a lot of goals in Genoa games going forward.
Yeah, I agree with that too. And the first goal that Genoa scored, a penalty. I'm conflicted with that penalty call because I thought Pinamonti, yes, it was a handball. I thought he was outside of the box. Every angle I saw, and maybe there's an angle I missed, and I will admit that I'm wrong, but it looked like he was outside the box. I thought it was a harsh penalty against Empoli, but it is what it is. Doesn't matter. They tie the game. Ballardini's out. Shevchenko's in. I'm excited. I'm happy that he got it. I mean, he did a remarkable job at the Ukraine. So, let's see what he does at Genoa. And there's some pieces there that can he can make a decent impact on the team. And let's see what he does there. I'm curious to see how the team unfolds with him. Hopefully, I wish him the best. And hopefully, for Genoa's sake, they can get get away from the relegation zone and at least get in the middle of the pack, so they're don't have to worry about that, because Sampdoria also are another team that's struggling, but we'll get to them.
Mm-hmm. Spezia Torino, a 1-0 win for Spezia. Goal of the week for me, Jacopo Sala from distance, a banger, giving Spezia the win. Andrea Bellotti is going to start turning up on milk cartons before we know it. Oh gosh, has he gotten bad? I mean, he's trending toward crap, like you said. He's trending toward crap on a cracker. He really is.
Yeah.
It's not looking. I mean, he was poor in this game too. A game that you would think with Spezia having some deficiencies defensively, if there was going to be a game for Bellotti to get right, it would be this one. And he got. Did he hit a
post? Did he hit a post? I think in this one. I
think that was his one chance. Yeah, but he got hooked after 58 minutes.
Yeah, Sanabria came on.
Yep, Sanabria came on. So not looking good, and really damning for his prospects with the Azzurri. Obviously, Mancini trusts him to be the guy behind Immobile. So, we'll see what happens with that. Atalanta at Cagliari. It was Atalanta's turn to beat up on this Cagliari, this underachieving, disgusting Cagliari team. It was a 2-1 win for Atalanta. Mario Pasalic wide open. Cagliari players don't even bother to mark people. He scores, giving Atalanta the 1-0 lead. Some hope, though, for the Sardinians. A wonderful long ball played by Diego Godin, finding João Pedro making it 1-1. That was in the 27th minute, but just before halftime, Duvan Zapata, in the very essence of hold-up play, getting the ball in to his feet from Koopmeiners. Wonderful turn and finish to put Atalanta up 2-1, and that's how the match would finish. Atalanta 63% possession, outshot Cagliari 21-7, 8 shots on goal to 1. So
Cragno was amazing.
Cragno had a Cragno game, and good thing he did, or else this would have been a lot uglier for Cagliari.
And I think Cagliari did actually fairly decent in this game. I thought they had their chances on their own, but obviously majority of play was Atalanta on their end, and Cragno came up big, and is a reason why he got called up to Azzurri. So not enough, unfortunately.
So that was statistical dominance on the part of Atalanta, and they close out with the 3 points. Now let's go to statistical dominance on the part of a team that lost. Venezia 3, Roma 2. Mattia Caldara in the 3rd minute. Yes, him. Same guy. Putting Venezia ahead, sending that stadium into delirium. Is that stadium on its own island?
It seems like it. It seems like it.
I mean, if you look outside the stadium, I mean, it is Venice. So,
yes.
But you look outside that stadium, and it's just all water. It's crazy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, it's claims for a handball, or not handball, claims for a penalty in the 9th minute for Roma. Ultimately canceled. I think they got that. There's, of all the things people got wrong, this one they got right.
Yeah, it was offside. I think it was the ultimate call. I mean, it was a penalty, but it was offside, so it negated that. So
sure. Eldor, the kind of the cult hero of Roma, puts Roma ahead in levels Roma in the 45th.
I thought you were going to stay up Syria. Sit down.
No, we don't talk about Eldor enough for him to have cult hero status here.
Yeah.
And then Tammy Abraham, I mean, going to be honorable mention goal of the week candidate for me. Scored a man's goal, fighting off some defenders. just before halftime to put Roma ahead 2-1, but then a penalty to Venezia in the 65th minute, Mattia Aramu converting that, and then you got him, play him. I rated him way back at the beginning at the preview Venezia. Keep this guy out there. He's going to score goals for you. David Okereke with the winner in the 74th minute, played in by Ethan Ampadu. Another Premier League reject trying to make his bones here in Serie. 3-2 to Venezia, but it doesn't even tell the story. Roma's 61% possession outshot Venezia 27-13, 11 of those on target. So Sergio Romero of Manchester United fame, among other places, balled out in goal, made 9 saves. Boy, he has been helpful in Venezia. My team. I said they'd survive. I'm pulling for them. I want to keep those. I want to keep those kits in Serie A for as long as we can, man.
Give me a booster kit.
And they are 15th. They are 15th.
Good for them.
It's great to see them. It's great to see them win here. But I mean, is this just an unlucky day for Roma, or?
Yes, because I thought the penalty that they ultimately got Venezia shouldn't have counted. I thought Cristante was done hard because I think he's the one who ended up getting the foul against Caldara. What it looked like to me is that Caldara kicked Cristante and got the foul. And so I watched it a bunch of times, and I thought Roma got a hard done on that play for real. But, Venezia deserved the win. They played their hearts out. Okereke with a great goal for the game winner. Roma, yes, they were done hard, but I think they should have done better too. When they had the 2-1 lead, you let the team like Venezia come back into the game and then take the lead. That's lack of discipline. I don't know what you want to call it. There's no way when you take a lead on Venezia, I get it, they're at home and they can be daunting plays, but come on, you're Roma. You have aspirations for being in Champions League. You need to shut it down when you play a team like this, get the lead. It's unfortunate for them, and Mourinho's seat's going to start getting warmer here. Need to figure something out defensively because they've looked very poor. I mean, he made excuses in the Milan game. What's he going to say now against Venezia? Their jerseys are too nice? What's going to say? The weather's too beautiful? I don't know what's the excuse going to be this time. So it's getting hot for Mourinho. I don't know.
Well, I mean, here's the thing that I'm starting to get, and some of this, and people are going to say, well, that's Mourinho. So what? I can't. The comment he made after the Milan game where he said Milan can go to this guy and this guy, and I've got Darbo and VR. You wanted this job, okay? You wanted this job, and these are the players that are there. All right, you can't sit there and complain about it. Listen, there might have been a time where making those kind of comments in the players, in the papers about your players, would motivate them. Okay, I don't think the psychology of today's player appreciates that. All right, and they're going to be like, you know what? The owner's going to side with me. I'm under a contract to play here, and he can sack the manager anytime he wants.
Yeah,
I just manage the team. I mean, I think that there are moments where this Roma team looks like they could turn a corner and be the team that can break through and get themselves back into being a top 4 team. But Mourinho's act, this is the thing that I was worried about. His act is going to wear thin. Yeah. And, today I'm going to just brush it. I'm going to say unlucky. All right. When I look at those statistics, I would say you normally walk over the other team. I mean, hell, we saw this with Milan under Gattuso when they played Benevento a few years back. It was just they threw jab after jab after jab after jab, and then Benevento just hit them connected on the right hook or the right uppercut.
But what's Mourinho's excuse for tying Bodo Glimt after getting beat by them the first time, right? It's
referee decisions. He blamed the referee. I remember the interview. The reporter was trying to bait him into saying, "Hey, the referee screwed you, didn't he?" And Mourinho was trying to get the reporter to say, "You say it."
Yeah.
And, you say it. You were at the game. You watched the game. Yeah. It's
after this game, he said that I didn't have enough players to bring in this guy. You spent what did he spend like 100 million euros to bring in players in the offseason? What kind of excuse is that? Oh, I don't have any players. You brought those players in. Shut the hell up.
Yeah, I mean,
just they need to do better. That's all it is. Just say it.
Yeah, and be a manager men, and get it figured out, and stop going to the paper. Stop complaining about this. Stop complaining about that. Okay, you walked into this job. You had to know what you were getting into. You can't complain about the players that are available to you when you knew what you were getting into. It's just it's a sorry state of affairs, and maybe he's trying to take the attention off of the players and put it on himself. There's some elements of that going on. He does that a lot.
Yeah. Conte does the same thing.
Right. But when you're struggling and you've just had a run of results that aren't going your way, complaining about who you got or complaining is not going to make it any better.
Yeah.
Get back to the a decorated manager, a guy of his resume, I don't need to tell him this. Just get back to the training ground, sort it out, and get back out and go win the next match, and try to get things turned around. That's all it is. That's what they've got to. That's what he's got to do. Stop making excuses. Stop complaining. Stop living on your past CV. None of us care. Okay. Yeah. I mean, we podcasters and we fans, we're a what have you done for us lately kind of bunch. Okay. Right. We've got some Milan people that will revel in the glory days of the Saki years and stuff, like me being one of them. But in the end, what have you done for us lately? And you're only good as your last match, and your last match is a loss no matter how many shots you took.
Yeah. So it's a good squad. Just figure it out mentally. Figure it out.
Yep. So anything else from those games that caught your attention?
Yeah, like I said, I thought Cagliari did a good job to create some chances themselves, had some opportunities against Atalanta. Atalanta, yes, they're going to hog the lion's share of the possession and shots, but they did admirably, and unfortunately, didn't put up enough against Atalanta. Torino, shocking result to Spezia. Good for Spezia. I mean, great goal that beat them, but it's a team that has been playing so well this season, to lose to Spezia like that, I think obviously you're going to give credit to Spezia, but Torino needs to do more, and Belotti struggles continue, and that's worrying to me. Mm-hmm. And then that's pretty much it. I mean, I'm excited for Shevchenko come to Genoa, and I think I'm happy for Venezia. Great. Venezia with their win today, like you said, move at the 15th. That's fantastic. So yeah, that's awesome for Venezia. I'm really happy. To see how they're doing and to see the start that they've gotten off to. It's really cool. Yeah. So, all right. Well, those were mine. How about yours? Yeah, well, we just talked about one manager change at Genoa. We might have another one at Sampdoria. Sampdoria hosting Bologna. Goal scoring will start in the 47th minute in the second half. Goal of the week candidate by Svanberg. Svanberg with a nice goal there in the 47th, and then Thorsby would get a goal in the 77th, make it 1-1. But that lead, or that the level up score lasted for just a minute. Arnautovic with a nice header. 2-1 Bologna win against Sampdoria at Sampdoria. The Versus seat's going to be hot right now if it's not already. Moving on to Udinese Sassuolo. This game always had the implication of being a fantastic game, but is always never lived up to the hype. It lived up to the hype this weekend. A fantastic game. Goal scoring started by Delofeo in the 8th minute. A wonderful goal by him. Berardi would come back with a goal in the 15th. And then Fratesi, goal of the week candidate in the 28th, made it 2-1. Just before halftime, an own goal this time by Fratesi made it 1-1 going into halftime. And then Beto with a nice goal, nice play, really, by Udinese, 3-2. Udinese beats Sassuolo at home. Fantastic match if you're neutral. Also, if you're a Udinese supporter, like maybe Sonia Misio, right? But great result there for Udinese. Moving on, Lazio hosting Salernitana. Goal scoring started in the 31st minute. Immobile off a nice little heading pass, I guess you want to call it, by Pedro. This is now I'm going to pick him as my new Capinieri pick, so beware, Lazio fans. He may get traded in January. So 1-0 at that point. 5 minutes later, Pedro will get his own goal. Nice goal after a giveaway, a turnover there. Slots it past the keeper. 2-0 going into halftime. Coming out of the break, Luis Alberto would make an entrance to the game. He would get a goal in the 69th minute. Very nice, well done. Nominee for goal of the week. 3-0 Lazio beat Salernitana. Salernitana did pretty well in that first half, but after those goals came in, it was just all Lazio at that point. So good result for Lazio there. And then to round out my batch, a game that ended just before the Milan game, Napoli hosting Hellas. This is a big game, a good game, really. Two teams who been playing well this season, especially Hellas coming out of nowhere, right?
Right.
Goal scoring started with probably the most informed guy in Serie A. I'm talking about El Cholito Simeone getting a goal in the 13th minute. Up to the goal, it was really Hellas doing a good job of negating everything that Napoli could do. Simeone got a nice goal. Barak with a fantastic play against Mario Rui, just embarrassed him to get open in the box and then find Simeone, who beats his defender. I think it was Juan Jesus who was covering for Koulibaly, who was out with the red card. So 1-0. Hellas got the lead on Napoli. That unfortunately woke up Napoli. Napoli really started playing really well after that. Di Lorenzo with a nice goal in the 18th minute made it 1-1. And really, this game was a fascinating game. If you were watching as a neutral, Hellas did a good job in this game, I thought, but I thought Napoli really started getting a swagger in this. And Guisa was fantastic once again. Zelinski, the whole bunch. This Napoli team is really legit, even when they don't have Koulibaly in there. They had some worrying moments. Ospina had to make some big saves against Hellas. Hellas is a good team too, but Napoli and Hellas share the points 1-1, Frank. Where do you want to go with these games?
Do you see the Verdi goal though?
Yeah.
Oopsie.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was just one. That was one comment that I made. I think Napoli, clearly Napoli were unlucky, but I think some of this was their own doing. They didn't bring their shooting boots. The only shot on target was the one they scored. So that's a problem. But they dominated possession, and then but you still got a Verona team that's going to be dangerous going the other way. Simeone, clever run, clever positioning to score the goal. He's obviously coming on. How about my boy Frattesi?
Yeah,
scoring again. Continuing to turn in good performances. All for naught. You had,
as VJ says, potential Azzurri player here. Starter as a forward here. So,
yep. I think we hyped him up after the first week, after match week 1, after seeing, because he was the guy that you wanted to ask some questions about, because he was the guy that was ultimately taking over for Locatelli in that setup.
Yeah,
he's playing well. It looks like Udinese have found themselves a new striker. Beto, 4 goals now.
I like him a lot. He's good
in 10 games. I rate him.
Big guy with technical ability.
And I'll tell you what, with the guys around him, Pereira and Deulofeu, and then, when you've got guys like Molina, Arslan, who, unfortunately Arslan got hurt in this game. And I'm trying to remember the fellow that they sometimes play over on the left-hand side. As a wing back, not Zegalar.
No.
The other fella.
But drives me crazy, but
it's driving me nuts. But anyway, but then they've got other players like, Nestorovsky, who's a veteran, Isaac Success, who not great, but can be a nuisance when you ask me. This is an Udinese team that they're going to bother some people. They're going to take some points off some people. That they're going to inconvenience some of these contenders. Let's just put it that way. And they got to win here against Sassuolo. And that's 2 losses on the bounce for Sassuolo after beating Juventus. It's almost like they got this hangover right now, going on. Lazio had to get this done against Salernitana. But, quietly unbeaten now in 3 games in league. And drawing, beating Fiorentina, drawing Atalanta before this. So, after taking that beating by Verona, do you wonder if they have starting to get things figured out? I don't want to get too far ahead of myself. This was a home date against Salernitana. Of course, you're supposed to get 3 points, but when you group that with the draw against Atalanta that they were actually very close to winning, and then beating Fiorentina, maybe there's something to this Sarri ball right now. So that's something we better keep an eye on here going forward. Sampdoria, you're almost starting to put them into the same category. And it's a matter of time before Ferrero asks Diversa to come into his office, close the door behind him, and sit down.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this can't last much longer. This is too talented, just like Cagliari. We got Sampdoria and Cagliari in the drop, and two teams that are loaded with talent that Serie A clubs would love to have.
Yeah.
I mean, two teams that are underachieving badly right now, and are going to need to start piling up some wins and putting some things together. You know, Sampdoria are better than Genoa on talent. They're better than Spezia and Venezia.
And Napoli,
I'll slightly edge them past Udinese right now, but that might change in a few weeks the more I watch Luca Gotti's team play. And I think they're better than Empoli. And they're probably better than, I mean, they should be better than Bologna, but they lose to them at home today.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's shocking. So not only did they lose to them, they got outplayed. I mean, Mihailovic's guys looked good today.
Yeah.
Arnautovic, you know, Svanberg getting the goal. You had Soriano and Barrow causing some problems as usual. You know, they turned in a good performance. They beat a Sampdoria team that doesn't look like they can figure it out right now.
Yeah.
And when I look at a team when I look at this team, I think the back four is broken. I think that Yoshida is starting to get a little long in the tooth. He had a lot of years with your Southampton team, right?
Yeah, well, yeah, a long time. He's getting up there in age too. So yeah, he's his best days are way behind him.
They brought in Omar Colley from, was it Genk or from Ghent, one of the Belgian clubs, to be the replacement for Joachim Andersen, and he has just not panned out. You know, and then you're looking at, you know, they get a rotation of midfielders. There was Torsby and Ekdal in the middle today. You've seen Adrian Silva show up in there. You know, you've got Kondreva who can provide a dangerous ball, and you've got two strikers that should be able to get in position to score it. But something's not. I mean, this team's just, they're badly underachieving right now. I mean, it's the same thing as Cagliari. I mean, there's too much talent for those teams to be 18th and 20th respectively. You know, and then finally coming back to Napoli, this is, you know, Verona's good, guys. I mean,
they are.
Ask everybody else how what they think. Ask Juventus how Verona is. Ask Milan. Milan had to come back from 2-0 down to beat them.
Yeah. Okay.
This is a good, talented side. They have given Giovanni Simeone is reborn. Okay. Yeah. Antonin Barak is a very underrated midfield player in this league.
Yes.
Very underrated. Gianluca Caprari is a creator and is a veteran in this league. That is a dangerous trio that you've got going forward. You've got veteran in Miguel Veloso. Adrian Tameze is an Atalanta reject.
Which means he's good.
He's a good player. He could play on Atalanta right now.
Yeah.
You got Faraoni. You had this. You had Nicolo Casale on the left today in this game where normally it's Lazovic. You know, in the back three is decent. You know, it's a good side. Napoli. I know that they were upset with a lot of fans were upset with a lot of refereeing decisions that went on in this game.
Yeah. Actually, I was too, and I'm glad you brought that up because I thought this was another game that had piss poor refereeing. I mean, a lot of calls were missed in this one. There was a potential penalty that was missed. Also, late in the game, they put up 6 minutes for stoppage time, and they didn't even play 6 minutes. They played 5 minutes. The referee blew the whistle. Napoli was really coming in strong. But overall, it was a good game. I mean, Verona is a very good team. The announcer, the commentator, for whatever reason, he said when Lasagna came on, he said Lasagna is one of the fastest forwards in the division. I'm like, what? You say this with Osimhen on the pitch and you know Unas is on the other side as well, and all these strikers in the league, like Lasagna, like I don't think so. Anyway, you know, Hellas is a good team. They're a good team. Despite the draw. They're going to make it difficult for a lot of people. Like you said, so many good pieces on this team from front to back. Montipo, excellent keeper, had another great save late in the game. But, you know, we should not overlook Napoli, who is themselves a fantastic team. I think not enough people are speaking about Napoli and how good they are. They are a legitimate, you know, contender for the Scudetto this year. And every time I see Elmas with his long hair and his number 7, I think of Cavani. And I have to be like, Cavani's long gone. Stop thinking about Cavani. He doesn't play in the midfield. But they got so many talented players in every position at Napoli, and you know whether it's Osimhen or whomever, they know how to play their ball. And oh, by the way, they didn't forget Sarri ball. So back when Sarri was there, they used to make the cross-pitch play from Callejon to Lorenzo Insigne backdoor. Now they just do the opposite. No Callejon, so it's Lorenzo Insigne backdoor to Politano. They did that plenty of times in the game. This is just a fun team to watch. And Zielinski pulling the strings. It's just they're very complete. I would say that they probably need someone. Rahmani is not who you want at center back, and probably Rui is probably not who you want at left back. But I think minus those two pieces, this is a pretty complete team.
Yep. He had got a good performance out of Juan Jesus today.
First game in 2 years or something crazy.
Yeah, he played on Thursday in the Europa League at Legia, and he actually looked decent there too. I mean, Spalletti's getting something out of him that the Roma coaches couldn't get. So we'll see. But I mean, some of it is. I mean, how much of this though? And I don't want to totally piss on Napoli's parade here, but how much of this is schedule? They opened with Venezia, Genoa. They beat Juventus when Juventus was really bad. Now they're just bad. They beat an Udinese team at a time when Udinese didn't have it all together. Okay, Cagliari. They got the win over Fiorentina, which is impressive. But then I take a look at the rest of this. Only a draw against Roma. They still have Inter, Lazio, at Sassuolo, Atalanta, at Milan, between now and December 19th.
We'll really see what they're made of then. I mean,
right.
I saw what they did against Leicester. That was enough for me to say like this team is legit. But you're right. They got some tough teams coming up here in the next month or so. If they come out of that in a similar form, look out. But yeah, a lot to play for still for them.
Yep. Agreed. And, Milan has just, I mean, for Milan, it's a little bit easier of a stretch. They do go to Fiorentina when they come back. They host Sassuolo, who are kind of stumbling. They host they're at Genoa. They host Salernitana. At Udinese, then they host Napoli. So slightly softer for Milan, but not anything that you can get carried away with. And I'm already taking a look at the second half fixtures. They've actually scrambled around the order. We're in the past. If you played, so it's all scrambled. If you played,
it used to be the same thing
on match day 1. Usually you would play the reverse fixture on match day 20.
Yep.
Okay, if you played whoever you played on match day 19, you play in the reverse fixture. I was just kind of peeking through the rest of the schedule. They've scrambled all that up for the second, for the second round of fixtures, which is kind of nice.
Yeah.
It mixes up the schedule a little bit, and I think that's a nice dynamic. I think that's something that's going to be fan friendly. So we'll see.
Interesting.
Just a side comment, but it's right now looking at Napoli Milan because they're neck and neck. Napoli's got a fixture list where you would maybe think logically by December 19th, Milan are winter champions. Cue Art Morelli's cartoon. Yeah, there you go. That was terrible, by the way.
Thank you.
So that's. It could very well be that way again. We'll see. I mean, I think that Napoli has a schedule that you could see them start to drop some more points here over the next few weeks, but you never know with Milan either. So, so we'll see what happens. But goals of the week.
All right. Honorable mention for me, Cuadrado, his game winner, plus Zurkowski, his goal was a nice goal for Empoli there. My top 5 is probably going to be different from yours. I can tell already just from number 5. Number 5 for me is Salah with his nice long-range goal for him for Spezia. Number 4 for me, Fratesi. I really liked his goal that he scored there. Okereke coming in number 3 for me. I really loved his game winner there on the breakaway. Lovely move to do a fake to the goalkeeper and then score past them. Number 2, I'm going with Tatarasanu with the penalty kick save. I thought great play of the week there. And my number 1 play of the week, yes, I said play of the week. It's Hops for Venezia goal line clearance with a bicycle kick off the goal line. Literally, it was inches away from giving a goal for Roma. Wonderfully done there. You have to watch the replay several times. It's so wonderfully done by Hops. So that's my top 5 plays of the week.
Okay, so I went purely with goals, and at number 5 I've got Giovanni Simeone. Number 4, love the Luis Alberto goal. You're not going to close me down. Okay, I'm shooting here. And I'm curling it, and it's going into the back post. It's going to hit the post and go in. The Okereke goal for me was number 3, Zurkowski number 2, Jacopo Sala for Spezia is my goal of the week. So
right on.
let's move on to Azzurri. Very, very important game. Friday at home against Switzerland.
Yeah, that Barella injuries now is going to be something for that.
Oh, and Manuel Locatelli, your table is ready.
There it is.
So let's break down the Azzurri. Do you have the call-ups?
I have the lineup in front of me. I don't have it to bring it up to show everyone, but in goal we have Cragno, Donnarumma, Meret, and Sirigu.
Oh, he took 4 this time, huh?
We took 4 this time. In defense, we got Acerbi, Bastoni, Biraghi, Bonucci, Calabria, Chiellini, Di Lorenzo, Emerson, and Mancini.
Yeah, don't have a problem with any of those guys.
Yep.
You know, I'm trying to think that if we wanted to take out Mancini, who would you bring in? I don't think we've got anybody that deserves to get in over him.
Nothing that's popping up top of my head. No,
right?
No. Looking at the midfield, Barella, who was injured, Cristante, Jorginho, Locatelli, Pellegrini, Pobega, Tonali, and Zaniolo.
How does Cristante still get into this team?
Every coach has got their player, right?
I guess. This would have been a great opportunity to give Verratti. Did you say Verratti? No,
no Verratti.
No Verratti. He's hurt, isn't he?
I think he's hurt. And okay. I thought, and maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I heard that Zaniolo and Moise Kean were kept off because of for discipline reasons. But I see Zaniolo on the call-ups list, so maybe that it wasn't true. Maybe I'm just hearing that. Maybe it was somebody else. Maybe I thought it was Zaniolo. I don't know.
Okay. Well, I can't say that I'm too cool with. I'm happy for Pobega. I agree with you, VJ. I would love to see Fratesi. Fratesi, I don't know if he's played his way into a shot just yet, but I think some of the recent games, I hope at a very minimum, Mancini has taken a long, hard look at him.
Yeah. Happy for Tonali.
Happy for Tonali. Tonali deserves the opportunity. Yeah. Let's see what happens. Verratti's out, Barella's out. It's, that's where it's going to be key. If he can come up with the right midfielders. Jorginho's in the team, right? You said Jorginho, right?
Jorginho, yes. No Sensi.
No Sensi.
Injured or just off. So.
Sensi's hardly played.
It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter for Mancini. He always seemed to pick him.
No, I mean, Sensi, I guess you got to play a little bit at least, don't you think?
Yeah.
So, any thoughts to just in the midfield? The Fiorentina guys, Bonaventura, Castrovilli, do you think that, maybe they should have gotten some consideration considering Fiorentina's form?
Castrovilli, certainly. I don't know about Bonaventura. I think he's...
probably a reach for him.
It's a reach for him. But Castrovilli, why not? He's not playing any worse than anybody else on this list, so
sure.
Why not?
Sure. All right. Forwards?
Forwards, we got Belotti, Berardi, Bernardeschi, Chiesa, Immobile, Insigne, and Raspadori.
Yeah, that's fine. I think Belotti's in on merit.
Yeah.
And nothing else, because form, it's just garbage.
Yep.
Going to be interesting to see what Mancini does with that when he has to call on a substitute for Immobile. I would think you go with Raspadori right now. I think he's earned his way ahead.
I agree. Raspadori is somebody who I'm excited to see with the Azzurri. With him and Fratesi, I think if both of them were on the pitch at the same time. I mean, I know Berardi's there, so he got that, but Raspadori seemed like the most logical person to replace Immobile. I guess you could put Belotti. Might still be second the pecking order for Mancini because just on merit, but I think Raspadori gets a slight advantage in my opinion based on current form.
Yep, agreed. I can't complain. At least he didn't take El Shaarawy.
Yeah, not this time.
Oh my! So I don't complain about it. Let's look at it. I mean, they're going to play Switzerland on Friday.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, we know where the danger is with Switzerland. Shaqiri starting to come into some form playing for Lyon. Briolambolo is a guy you're familiar with.
Yeah.
A guy that could be dangerous in the up front. Haris Seferovic. Those are kind of the danger guys. Another guy you got to watch out for if he's in the team is Zuber.
Yeah. Xhaka playing too? Granit Xhaka?
Yeah, I would believe he would be in the midfield.
Yeah.
So these are guys that these are probably the guys you got to be careful with. You're going to have Ricardo Rodriguez factoring in there too. He's going to know a thing or two about playing Italy.
Yep, Jan Sommer, good goalkeeper.
Yep. So it's a talented squad. That said, it's in Italy. Okay. Do we have a location for this? I don't see one here. I'm not showing one here.
People got to remember. Yes, Azzurri played Switzerland in the Euros, and we beat them. But this is the team that they played then was not the same team that developed during the tournament, because they developed into a really good team during the tournament. So this is a good team, and so a lot on the line, with a victory in this one.
Sure, but I am going to go with Italy winning. I think they'll win 2-0. They're going to be pushed. They're going to be demanded to put in a performance at home. I think that this is a group that knows what it means. There's the stigma of missing out on the last World Cup, and this game is the game that they need to win to go. If they win this, there's no reason to think that they're not going to win qualifying directly out of their group and go to the World Cup. Okay. And that's the expectation that I have. It's a home match. It's going to be a crazy atmosphere. They had the home field advantage at the Euros, beat Switzerland 3-0. Switzerland will have about the same team. Italy won't quite have the same team, but remember, Italy didn't have Verdi when they played Switzerland either. So, it was a big game. It was a big game for Locatelli in particular. He might be called into play in this game too. So I see Italy with the win, and I'm going to go 2-0.
Yeah, I like that. I'm going to go 2-1 for Azzurri.
Okay. And then they play Monday at Northern Ireland. You got to think they're coming away with a win there. So, win 2 games, get yourself in the driver's seat for direct qualification to the World Cup. So
the game is Stadio Olimpico.
Okay, perfect atmosphere. That's where it was when they beat them at the Euros.
Yep.
So let's do it again. Same venue. Why not? Don't jinx it. Don't mess around with having it anywhere else. So
that means no podcast, right? No podcast for an international break.
Yeah, we get to take next weekend off.
There you go.
That's been our thing. We don't want to.
It's worked.
Yeah, we want to stay out. We want to stay out of Italy's way. So.
That's right.
All right. So your thoughts on the Azzurri? Go to @SitDown on Twitter or Instagram with Mancini's team. Who you'd like to see in that midfield in particular? We'll probably maybe we should do that. We should just ask you through our Twitter page. With the recent injuries, who starts in Italy's midfield on Friday against Switzerland? You're doing that now.
I can do it.
All right. So, I think it's Jorginho for sure. Probably Locatelli. And then I think for the sake of continuity, what little there might be, I think it's Pellegrini. What say you?
Yeah, I'd probably go Jorginho, Locatelli, and no Barella, obviously. No, I like your shot. A lot. I think I agree with what you said there.
Yeah.
Why not?
Sure. Okay. Well, so that's our thoughts, but we'd love to hear from you on Twitter. Jump on, follow us at Sitdown. You'll find the question, who should Mancini's starting midfield be against Switzerland? And reply with your comment. So, and now, the moment that everyone's been waiting for, the world's most popular hashtag game, Who Won Calcio Twitter. Richard, lead us off.
All right, so we're sharing it on the screen here. Starting off, it's Icardi FC nominating himself or herself or theirself. And it's so there's a thread going. So Marco Messina tweeted out saying the group chat with my Argentinian friends is going off once again. More Icardi drama. If you don't know, Icardi and Wanda, the whole thing going back and forth, Wanda Gate. Icardi FC says there's never Icardi drama. This is all media nonsense. Of course, they're going to be pro Icardi. Someone made a comment about Icardi not coming home and they tweeted, Milano needs Icardi more than Icardi needs Milano. Maybe.
No, I don't think so. All right. Is he going back to back? Saturnian at Saturnian 13. Co-winner last week.
Yeah.
Technically speaking, it would be a back-to-back, but I'm already going to call this one as the leader in the clubhouse. AS Roma on aggregate have lost 2-8 versus FK Bodo Glimt in the Conference League. If you've never heard of them, they're a small club based in Rome.
Laziale around the world are laughing.
And then Rafa corrected 3-8, 6-1, and 2-2. And I just said to Rafa, I said, I think he's trying to imply that since no one other than Roma fans watched it, do they really know the score?
That was a very good tweet. Very good tweet. Leader of the clubhouse.
Saturnian is in the clubhouse right now. So we'll see. We'll see. Let's see what everybody else says. Inter Philly is next.
Inter Philly is next. And so the original tweet came from Alessandro Bastoni, the great one, says, for fuck's sake, now I'm crying. I had his picture of Conte, and then it goes, this guy really left a competitive Champions League side to manage a bunch of bums on Thursdays in the Conference League. Referencing Tottenham in Conference League. So
that's up there. That's up there.
Yeah,
all right. We've got let's see. No fascism, no racism. The tifo of the Olympique Marseille supporters before their match versus Lazio last night. And at BTC_Matthias. Lazio fans looking at this, the gif of Ron Burgundy. It doesn't make sense.
That's a leader for me right there.
that's got a shot. That's got a shot.
Yeah, that's a good one.
All right.
This one comes in from at LA Taver _ says Edin Dzeko versus Milan. Some massive guy. There's sound to this one. Making his. It's just a creature like Dzeko that's not doing anything, just walking around making noises. Funny. It was funny. That's funny. There's some good ones.
Oh
this week.
Boy, we've got a good week of Who Won Calcio Twitter. They all stepped up. We've got one more nominee. This is what happens when we record like 3 days apart. We don't get many nominations, so don't worry. We'll have an overload since we're off next week. At Rafinha_fan, BR Football tweeting, Juan Cuadrado danced in front of the referee after scoring the winner for Juventus in stoppage time. At Rafinha fan saying, I don't see anything too spectacular here. It's literally just two teammates celebrating their late winner.
Nice.
Well played. Oh my, we've got some good ones, man. We've got some good ones this time around. So
we do. I like this Lazio one. Lazio fans looking at this like it doesn't make sense.
I'm with you. I think we're going with BTC_Matthias as our winner this week. So I will go ahead and dub at BTC_Matthias our winner of Calcio Twitter. While I type that, Richard, anything else you want to share with the people?
Just again, thanks to all we did this on Wednesday. I know I forgot to post the podcast after last time. If you watched it live, great. If you didn't, we'll try to get the episode out still, along with this episode as well. But we thanked a lot of those who helped us with the fan reaction, videos after every week. There's a couple more coming this week for the big games. Obviously, Derby Della Madonnina and obviously Fiorentina-Juventus are some games there. So yeah. Keep sending in those videos. We love them. It's great to see what the reactions for everybody else are. How fans feel about their teams winning or losing. It doesn't have to be the big matches. If you want to, help us out with some videos, please let us know. We just want to help share the love, spread the love, let everybody know about other creators that are out there as well. There's a lot of creators here supporting their different teams or even Serie, like the Calcio guys and the Calcio Connection. So definitely send those videos, and thank all those gentlemen and ladies who have helped us out so far. Sabrina Melmonte on the recent ones with a really good Milan one lately too. So thank you.
Excellent. All. Yeah. Excellent stuff. No doubt about it. Very happy with how that has been going and how it's been received. So excellent stuff. At BTC_Matthias, congratulations again. You are the winner of Who Won Calcio Twitter for the week. well played. And you're the winner of 5 really strong nominees this week, too. So good week for Who Won Calcio Twitter. Again, hashtag Who Won Calcio Twitter. If you find anything from the Calcio Twitter fan base that is amusing, funny, as long as it's not offensive, as long as it's not degrading, stick the hashtag on it, and we'll read it on our next podcast. So, and with that, we're going to put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down. Richard, anything else to shamelessly plug?
Not at the moment, but
right.
yeah, just follow me at R_KHARMAN, and I'll make sure I'll look you up. Look, oh, that's disgusting. Forget it. I would say pass on me. I'm done. Long weekend.
We're going to hell.
I'm just gonna mute my mic.
You have had trouble. With the polyglot has had trouble with pronouncing words and enunciation, and
English is not my native language anymore.
Like tonight, apparently, yeah. So, oh my. So I'm at FTC_21. You keep moving the handle on me. So follow me there. I would appreciate it. Like chatting the Calcio, among other things. Serie A Sit Down, we have our own channel on Apple Podcasts, on SoundCloud. If you're listening to us there on one of those channels, subscribe to the channel, please. We're also on Stitcher, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you find podcasts. You're going to find Serie A Sit Down, at Serie A Sit Down on Twitter or Instagram for any comments, questions, topics you want us covering on future podcasts. And also on Facebook as well. So that's going to do it. We are going to take next weekend off in observance of Serie A taking next weekend off. Good luck to the Azzurri. Hopefully they can come away with an important victory on Friday against Switzerland, and then follow that up with a win against Northern Ireland, and then really be in the driver's seat for an automatic berth in the 2022 World Cup. Let's do it. Forza Italia. For Richard, I'm Frank. Thank you, chat, as always, for stepping in and talking with us, and for everybody else out there listening to us. And as always, tell your paisans about us. Ciao.